All right, this is Jeffrey Harris, and we are back once again for the 411 Wrestling Podcast. For today's interview, I have the former MLW Tag Team Champion. He's a rising star in the wrestling world. He is Brian Pillman Jr. He's the son of the late, great Brian Pillman. In my mind, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Brian, you are forging your own career and legacy in your own right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just wonderful.
All right, so we have a big show coming up for MLW. The Fusion TV tapings. These are the Never Say Never tapings. They'll be in Queens, New York at the Melrose Ballroom on July 25th. How much are you looking forward to this set of tapings?
This is something extremely important, not only to my career but to my story with MLW, the story that we have with the Dynasty, and to be honest, it's all quite coming to a head. What's going to happen is going to be unprecedented, as you know, with the new Hart Foundation. Everything we do is unprecedented. Everything we do creates history and creates a lot of stars in this business. And I think we've built these guys up to be some big stars because of them wrestling us. So it's a very, very wild time in pro wrestling right now. I am just amazed to be, on the forefront of it.
Now, of course, you and Teddy Hart are coming off that loss in that intense ladder match, losing to the Dynasty. How was that ladder match, and what are your impressions of the Dynasty right now?
Well, it's one of those things. I had never done a ladder match before, so I went into it with a little less experience. So I think that's maybe where they capitalized on me as far as someone going in there expecting to take home the gold, and it doesn't always go in your favor, especially when you're newer in the business. So that's kind of the only credit I can give to MJF and his background. With he's had some hardcore background to him, so I give him credit where credit's due. The Dynasty are they're a tough bunch of guys. It wouldn't be worth watching if they weren't some of the top guys in the business. You know what I'm saying?
Now, your stablemate Teddy Hart, he will be facing MJF on July 25th for Never Say Never. Are you going to be gunning for other members of the Dynasty on that event?
To be honest, I've always had history and a great respect for Alex Hammerstone, and there's definitely some unfinished business there. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on him, but at the end of the day, I got to do what I got to do. And whatever my job is, that's the job I got to do to represent the Hart Foundation and to represent, years and years of excellency. It's not a light weight on your shoulders when you're representing the Hart Foundation.
And just a reminder for everyone, if you want to check out that ladder match with Brian and Teddy Hart against the Dynasty, you can go to YouTube right now. Just check out the MLW channel. It's the latest episode 66 of Fusion, and you can check out that great ladder match. So, you can get free wrestling on YouTube right now. How awesome is that? All right, so, Brian, you are under contract right now with MLW. I believe I read your contract will take you through about 2020. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, I am just rounding about with a couple years here at MLW coming around. It's amazing to be able to say that I've been with the company a full year as of today. I would say I remember signing my contract around this time last year, and it's definitely changed my life for the better. And I've become a great wrestler because of it. I've gotten to solidify my name with the Hart family. I trained in Calgary, so I paid my dues where my dues I felt belonged, and I did them to the right company, and I'm here, and they made a star out of me. So, but there's unfinished business with the Dynasty, unfinished business with Alex Hammerstone. All those guys have something about them that makes me want to beat them. So,
now, if you don't mind sharing with us, is your current MLW deal, is it MLW exclusive, or is it like exclusive for TV at all?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, how has it been, this unit you've formed, the new Hart Foundation with Teddy Hart and Davey Boy Smith Jr.?
What was the question again?
Like, what do you think? What do you think of getting to form this unit with these great workers, Teddy Hart and Davey Boy Smith Jr., the new Hart Foundation?
Oh, it's an absolute privilege. It's an absolute honor. It's absolutely organic in every way. It's part of who I am, and in discovering myself and my story and the people that were family members of my father. So it's all one big family in wrestling, and you got to find out who your family members are. And I've always stayed loyal to. I've always stayed loyal to the Hart family.
Now, do you view Teddy Hart as a mentor figure at all?
In many ways, yeah. In many ways, he's showed me a lot of lessons and taught me a lot of things in this business that you're not going to learn in any school, and you're not going to learn, practicing in any gym. It's like life lessons and the tales and the lessons of this business on what to do and what not to do, and how to get ahead and things like that. So,
Now, I mean, Teddy Hart, what impresses me about his career is, he's had his demons in the past, and it looks like now he's overcome them. He's battled against them, and now he seems to have gotten to the other side of them. Does that inspire you at all for your career? Does he set a good example for you?
Did you say Teddy or Harry?
Teddy.
Oh, okay, I thought you changed it. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone. He wrestles for the honor and for the spirit of the sport. He's not out there wrestling for any dollar sign or any type of push or anything. He really just loves the fans.
Now, does Teddy ever come to you, and does he ever give you personal advice about your career?
All the time.
Yeah, can you give us an example?
I can't give away my secrets.
Okay, fair.
Personal advice.
Fair enough. Now, I'm curious. How long did you want to be a pro wrestler?
I say, like, as in a critical thinking sense, when I was about 13, probably. I realized, this could be really something really, really cool and a great way to succeed. My family name and things, but I tried to play it safe, as you know, and I tried to go to college and didn't start actually training until I was about 23, 24.
Yeah, I think you're on the right path, and I think you handled yourself the right way, and I'm just very continually impressed with you. Of course, your father, the great Brian Pillman, such an iconic performer. In my mind, I think he was one of the greatest in-ring performers ever. But do you ever think about, you're starting your own career and you're becoming a star and you're trying to forge your own path. But is it difficult at all, like, thinking about, sharing your name with your father? And do you feel pressure, like, am I in my father's shadow and wanting to step out of it and build my own legacy?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of situations that are presented to you that may not even be fitting for you or your character, but are kind of thrusted upon you in a certain capacity. And we've learned that the hard way with certain promotions that have tried to book me in certain ways, and eventually my true character showed, and now my career is going a lot smoother as far as making my own name for myself.
Now, do you ever go back and watch your dad's matches or study them as you've gained more experience?
Yeah, I think different things and different lessons, because his career was so vast. So there's so much range of performance there. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to learn at different times in my career as well.
Now, not to get too far ahead and not to cause any drama or anything, but tell it to me straight. Does every young aspiring pro wrestler dream someday about going to WWE and WrestleMania someday? Or is it more complicated than that when you're trying to, get this whole dream started?
It just depends. I mean, I've never was specifically all about wanting to go to WrestleMania. I definitely think the first place you picture yourself being a wrestler is at the WWE, though.
Right.
But I guess the whole WrestleMania myth thing, I mean, I don't think that... I'm not particularly... That wasn't that way, I don't think.
But I get the sense from you that, you're just taking it one step at a time and you're not in any rush to get to a specific destination.
Yeah.
Is that how you feel about your career right now?
Yeah, like I was always told, it's not your decision. You gotta let the opportunities come your way.
Now, would you say you're a big fan of the wrestling business? Do you like to watch a lot of wrestling when you're not performing or wrestling yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like what other wrestling do you like to keep up with, or do you enjoy watching in your spare time?
I only watch MLW.
Yeah, hey, hey,
No, but
okay,
it just depends. It's not any one answer. It's a lot of different things. Depends on what I'm into.
okay,
Depends on what I'm looking for as far as just inspiration. As I'm still obviously a developing athlete and a developing wrestler, I'm not above learning or seeing things that okay, I can do this in a certain way, but it's more so whatever I like that inspires me. It's not any one specific promotion or anything.
Now with MLW, I get the sense that Court Bauer is running a pretty tight ship over there. It looks like the company is progressing. You guys are putting on shows and special events on a regular basis. MLW is touring now, and I would argue MLW probably has a better TV deal right now than probably Impact Wrestling. Wouldn't you agree? With beIN Sports?
I guess it depends on what Impact Wrestling is running on. I'm not sure what
They're on
running on right now.
they're on Pursuit and Twitch right now, basically.
Okay, so yeah, it depends. It just depends on what they're running because
Okay.
I would just say the numbers. Not everybody knows the numbers up front. You can always look at YouTube views and stuff like that, but there's a lot of different. I think Impact has a lot of different streaming opportunities, and I think MLW is definitely viewed more by a wider audience around the world. I'd say perhaps, yeah. Due to beIN Sports and the
right.
and the UK deal we have as well. So
right.
I have more international fans, I think, than because of MLW.
And what do you think of Court Bauer as just sort of how he's helming the ship and running the company, and your impressions of him?
I think he's great. I think the vision for the company is very strong with what he wants to do and stuff. So that's really nice, and it's definitely a way of doing things that a lot of people are afraid of doing. He's not afraid to take risks and really put on true entertainment, which is what's really cool about it.
Now, when you started your training, tell me about that journey for you, training in Calgary, and you trained under Lance Storm, correct? Or did you have other trainers?
Yeah, so Lance Storm was my, a little bit before I went to Lance Storm, I went to Rip Rogers. Rip Rogers had a training school.
So tell me, what was that journey like for you, and what did you learn from that experience with Rip Rogers first?
Oh, it was my very first bump, so learned a lot. I learned that getting the wind knocked out of me and getting tired and blown up, and learned how to move around in the ring. So a lot of my first footsteps, a lot of very important footsteps, were taken with Rip Rogers.
And then working with Lance Storm, I mean, to me, he's a living legend. He's done it all. He's seen it all. And how was Lance's coaching style for you? How was he as a trainer and a teacher for your progression?
Lance was very, very safe trainer, very fundamental trainer, was very strong about the very basic fundamentals that make our business work, that make our business tick. So definitely a really wholesome experience, definitely a very valuable, you're not going to get your money's worth like that at any other school. So, it was a good decision on my part to go there, and to become well-rounded in this athlete, in this sport. And then that's kind of what ended up getting me signed to MLW was my TV. I already had kind of an insight towards TV, so it was a good transition.
What did Lance Storm give you that you will take with you for the rest of your career?
I would say a credibility. Going to that school, putting that on your resume is a credibility factor, and it'll carry over for no matter who decides to get into this business. If that's something that you decide to do.
Now, one of my favorite promos you did with Teddy Hart was the video with you two and the cats, and you're like the Alpha Cats. Tell me about that promo, because I thought it was just sort of clever and just subtly hilarious. Did you know it? How did that come together? Because it felt so in the moment, but I just felt like it was quietly brilliant. So, very curious about the whole Alpha Cat thing.
Oh, you talking about the cat promos?
Yeah, the cat promos.
Yeah, so a lot of people know about Teddy's sort of fascination with cats, and he was actually a breeder for some time. So, a very well-known breeder, an established breeder. There's a parallel there with Teddy's also his personality and the way he conducts himself, as well as his athletic ability. So it's almost like he studies cats because it helps him get better. In a certain way, which is really cool because, well, you can imagine what you can learn from cats.
Now, would you say you're an expert of cats as well now? Are you learning to be like a?
Oh no. So I'm obviously earning my keep here. I'm paying my dues with Teddy and things. So not quite an expert yet, but learning. Right. I think my next thing I'm going to learn from the cat is the moonsault. Mr. Velvet has a perfect crystal clear moonsault, and as you've seen on HGTV. And we will be coming back out with some more episodes on HGTV. So,
and remember, Alpha Cats recognize Alpha Cats, Brian.
Yes. Meow, meow, meow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I thought those promos were hilarious. So thank you for those.
It's you call it a promo, I call it everyday lifestyle.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. So. Now, of course, you are with MLW, but of course there's a new promotion on the block right now called All Elite Wrestling, AEW. They're going to be debuting on TNT now. Now, I'm just curious, do you pay attention to what's going on with AEW? And are other workers in MLW paying attention to what's going on with AEW, which it's getting a lot of buzz, and it feels like it has a lot of momentum right now. I'm curious how you see it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are paying attention to AEW, and I think AEW has benefited from MLW, and I think MLW is also benefiting from AEW. So it's a two-way street. It creates a system of high-level athletes that have plentiful work and plentiful contracts about. A lot of guys are working in both companies, but it's not so much a battle between the two. It's more so a development of a system that creates stars and creates memories. And there's two different ideologies. MLW coming from a more traditional methodology, and AEW being more of a progressive methodology. So at the end of the day, we got two companies, creating great wrestling. MLW being more of the serious competitive style, and AEW being more for everybody.
Now, Brian, I potentially see one of the biggest beneficiaries of this whole atmosphere in the business right now being someone like you, and I think you're going to be highly in demand. I mean, I'm sure you're in demand now, but I think it's just going to keep getting higher and higher over the next couple years. Do you see it that way?
I've consistently had increasing interest since I began wrestling. So I've never quite expected how it would go for me. So at this point, I'm already very blessed and happy for where I'm at. So anything else that comes this way, it's purely because of the people that have already helped me along. The companies like MLW who have made me who I am. That's who I have to thank.
Now, you don't have to share them because, they could be personal, but do you set your own goals and sort of standards for yourself for where you want to be in the business?
Absolutely. I think we all have to set goals for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the goals for the longest time was to just become a better wrestler, become, a better athlete. And then another one of those goals was to get signed, to a TV company. So I've already done a few of the goals that I've set out for myself, and it's all coming so fast. I'm at a point where I'm willing to sit back and develop and truly advance these amazing stories that we're creating on television.
And once again, I think you're handling everything the right way. I feel like you've been taught the right way, and you have strong mentorship. And I definitely feel like you're on the right track, and you're doing great things. And I think you're going to continue to do great things as well. Now, if I could get a little bit of input from you, I don't know if you watch the WWE product at all, but I'm curious if you've heard at all about the changes, the sort of shakeup that's happened over there with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff being named the new executive directors of Raw or SmackDown. Do you think this is a good idea for WWE right now, and what do you make of a move like that?
I think those guys have been smart and have remained relevant in wrestling for this much time. So I think it's not WWE making a mistake or doing something weird. It's these guys working their ass off to be captivating characters that can be used in storylines and things. So I see it as just, them being innovative and earning another spot and another run, another chance to do what they do.
Now, do you ever have any aspirations to wrestle in Japan or Mexico, or maybe you've already done a little bit of that already? But I'm curious about that.
One of those two places, they feel closer by the day. I'm always open to the opportunity. There's been a lot of talks in the works of either of those countries, and right now it's just a matter of timing. I'm very booked up in the States and things, so we'll see how things go from there.
Have you ever gotten the chance to meet Jushin Liger and talk to him?
I did. I just recently met him in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I mean, he was one of your dad's all-time great rivals. What was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. It was great to meet him. I gave him a picture of my father and him wrestling together.
I mean, I still, to this day, that match, I think the Super Brawl 2-1 from 1992 is one of my, I think it's one of the greatest matches of all time, one of my favorite matches ever. So I'm very happy to hear you had an experience like that with him.
Thank you, my friend.
So do you think the war with Destiny, do you think it's coming to a head, or do you think it's going to rage on for a little bit?
With Dynasty?
Yeah, with Dynasty.
Well, what do you think?
I think they got some blood on. They cut you. It's time for you guys to cut back and cut a little deeper. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think I think you got 6 of the biggest stars in the business right now. I think you got a lot of steam, a lot of investment, a lot of money behind us, and I think this is something that you milk. I think this is something we're going to keep fighting back and forth until they say we can't anymore. I think the people are invested in this, and I think this is going to go on, and it's going to be back and forth. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get bloody at some point.
Was this the type? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Was this the type of rivalry you were hoping to have when you became a wrestler?
Absolutely, yeah. I've actually, believe it or not, I've always thought of MJF as an opponent that I wanted to align myself with and have matches against.
Okay, and just a couple more questions. So, the fans who are going to be at the Melrose Ballroom on July 25th for MLW, the Never Say Never Fusion TV tapings, what can fans in New York City expect on that night?
Like I said, there will be blood.
Very, very short and sweet. And just last thing, do you have any shout outs or plugs you want to give out? Where people can find you on your social platforms, anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to. It's all yours, Brian.
Yeah, thank you everybody for following me on Twitter at Flying Brian Jr. and on Instagram at Flying Brian41. Shout out to this website for hosting me for this podcast. It's been great to connect with everybody and talk about what I believe to be the most hottest traditional form of wrestling in the world right now, which is Major League Wrestling. And I thank you guys for being along for the ride.
Great. And so you can go to the Melrose Ballroom, check out MLW. It is on beIN Sports every week. You can also check them out on YouTube. Brian Pillman, it has been a great honor and pleasure to be talking to you. Best of luck with your career and in the upcoming shows you're booked for. And I just can't wait to see what you do next. I think you are. You're by all rights, you're already a star, and I think your star is only going to get bigger from here. Sorry.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you. And this is Jeffrey Harris, and you've been listening to me talking to Brian Pillman Jr. on the 411 Wrestling Podcast.